Roll call.
Councilmember Chan?
Here.
Councilmember Harrison?
Here.
Councilmember Wajkowski?
Here.
Vice Mayor Nadarajan?
Here.
Mayor Wasserman?
Here. This is a study session, and the topic is an update on the Ballpark Village project. So we'll turn it over to Mr. Diaz.
And the city manager will turn it over to the Director of Community Development, Jill Kymack.
Okay, this is a study session on the A's Ballpark Village EIR. I just want to go over a few things. First, the process of the notice of preparation where we are today. A little description about the preferred plan, the off-site alternative, agency and public comments we've received to date, and then the bulk of the discussion is for council to ask questions of the development team. The A's owners are here tonight. So the process, where are we in this long process? We had a submittal about a year ago, November '07. That was a community-specific plan for the Ballpark Village. And that project had a project description on it. And we had courtesy meetings both with our adjacent cities and utility districts. And we also had a number of staff review items. And we started looking at potential environmental impact, sort of ballpark, no pun intended, ballpark figures of what we should be looking at. When we started doing that, and where we are now is that we have a project description. We noticed that on December 17th, that has a 30-day comment period. And the purpose of that comment period is to get agency comments on further analysis that we should do. And also there was a public scoping session last night as part of that. And the purpose of that is also to learn from the public local knowledge that we should be aware of in analyzing the preferred alternative. CEQA also requires staff to look at an off-site alternative and a no-build alternative. The no-build alternative we're presuming will be the existing entitlements on the Pacific Commons site. The off-site alternative, we've worked with the A's to have a realistic off-site alternative. We wanted to go with the intent of CEQA to really look at what is the environmentally preferred project, since this is a project of regional significance. The A's and staff looked at an off-site alternative that took the stadium, and I'll talk more about this later, the stadium, and basically put it near the future Warm Springs BART station, and it kept the retail and residential on the Pacific Commons site. So it basically bifurcated the project onto two sites. As part of this 30-day comment period, it will close next Thursday, December 18th. Assuming that everything is as goes forward on a normal development project, we would then do an environmental assessment in full detail of the preferred alternative and basically a 30,000-foot level cursory view of the off-site and the no-build alternative. Unless we get further direction or the applicants, like for every project, they can change their plan depending on the economy and all other factors. So the draft environmental impact report would then come out probably in the spring. It then requires another 45-day comment period, and we would receive those comments and then prepare responses to every comment that we receive. So that time period of our responses to comment varies depending on how many comments we receive. It then goes to Planning Commission and back to the Council probably late fall. For the preferred project, which we can show on the screen, and it's also on the back wall, it has some, it basically started as a text project description. Our things aren't working. And it came in as a 32,000-seat Major League Baseball stadium. It had 200,000 square feet of auxiliary building office space as part of that stadium. It also had 540,000 square feet of retail, an 80-unit hotel, and also 3,150 residential units. And this courtesy review of the project that I mentioned earlier, both with talking to staff and other experts in the field and the council, that project that was submitted about a year ago has changed in a number of different ways. It now has an option. I think it was a council request for an option to add the west of Cushing option that would have 300,000 square feet of office R&D space and 7.5 acres of an auto dealership area. We also added and required an elementary school to serve the residential. And then when we started looking at the potential traffic impacts and congestion, we also talked about, and the developers agreed to put in a pedestrian overpass over 880. The Fountains Business Park was part of the initial proposal, just north of Auto Mall, and that in itself started in our initial review of the traffic analysis. Pedestrians crossing Auto Mall created more conflict. And so what the A's agreed to is to use the Fountains Business Park just for employee parking to minimize that potential impact. They also added scattered parking sites on the east side of 880, and again, that's the reason for the pedestrian overpass. And then a significant shuttle service from the BART station, whether it's the Fremont BART station or the Warm Springs BART station in the future. And then also an ACE train stop. So CEQA requires that we fully analyze this project and then do just a cursory review. For the off-site alternative, and we can show that up on the screen as well, what I mentioned before is the bifurcated project. So it has 32,000-seat stadium on about 12 acres in that pink area around the Warm Springs BART station. It isn't a specific identified site. It's not just the stadium. It comes with the office space that was part of the stadium before, so it's about up to 200,000 square feet of office. It also, if the stadium is in this area, it also would have to mesh with the city's general plan and the council's direction for TOD, transit-oriented development projects, around the Warm Springs BART station. And so we have also looked at this area for high-density office and some commercial retail area. So the stadium would have to fit in that vision as well. It would also require both shared parking potentially and dedicated parking, whether it's surface or structured, in addition to the 12 to 15 acres required for the stadium. And the development around the stadium would have to be done by other property owners or other developers in the Warm Springs area. For the Pack Commons site of the project, it would still have the 3,150 residential units that were previously proposed. It would have actually an increase of retail to 650 retail and R&D office. And some of that would be on what is now the surface parking lots on Brandon Court. Those would be converted to retail. And then the option west of Cushing would still retain the Auto Mall and potential for office. There would be no Fountains Business Park at all, and we would still require the school to be within the development.